I fell in love with cycling right after my mountaineering training. We were three girls who went with one-way ticket, and all of us decided to explore Arunachal. That was the first time I had cycled on high elevation in Mechuka. I have never experienced anything like that before. I mean, I had cycled in bits and pieces, but never for the longer duration or at high elevation before Mechuka. So, when the thought of cycling across South Korea came, I was excited. I knew I would do it, but I had no idea how. I never pre booked any of my accommodation. In fact, I never even knew my limit on how much I can cycle in a day or how far I can go in a day. So it was just a thought until I entered South Korea. Life was going good, then came COVID. It shifted a lot of my perspective on where my mindset should be. I have a career in making clothes. I enjoy it. I am where I am today because of it. But the thing was, I wasn't happy. I miss being tired, miss being physically exhausted. I miss being surrounded by nature, and it was like I was stuck in this infinite loop of mundane tasks. I wanted to do something that I have never done before, also that have never been done by anyone I knew. So for me, the idea was to go in this with a complete blank canvas and to figure things out on my own. That was the gist of it. I enjoy cycling. It's slow enough to appreciate the views that are coming along the way. The pace is good enough to take you anywhere. It doesn't require any fuel. It takes all your necessary luggage. You can park it anywhere you want. The dependence between you and your cycle is very minimalist and efficient. I started from Seoul. I picked a bike from Bike Nara. I was going to ride the bike from Hongik University station to the starting point, which was Ara West Sea Lock. But the guy at Bike Nara recommended to take it on subway. So I went to Hongik University station, got hold of the staff and asked for permission. Some minutes later, I was signing a permit and then I was in subway towards the starting point and to collect the bike passport. I was doing the traditional way of stamping the bike passport along the way. The bike passport is where you stamp from the designated stamping booth, which are placed on your bike pads. I have made a separate detailed video on it. You can check that in the description below. After passport pickup, I went straight to the starting point where it says 0 kilometers. Also, it has the first certification booth where I started my stamping journey from Seoul to Busan. Let's go! It's a feeling, when you are standing there with no experience of cycling and no understanding of the language, and also without Google Maps to start the journey in an unknown country. I already had a hotel booked in Gangnam. This was the only time I knew where I was going to stay by end of my ride. For the rest, I was going to wing it. I was looking forward to leave the hustle of the big city behind. It was the day I was finally getting out of my comfort zone. From this day onward, I had no idea where I was going to stay for the next 11 days or how far I will be able to ride. But now it was no looking back. Either I go back to Seoul or carry on my journey towards Busan. As I was moving away from the city, I could finally see how different it was. The landscape changed drastically. There was no traffic and at point no humans as well. And it's noticeable because I live in Mumbai, which has a population of 20 million people. There were a lot of public parks and the bike roads were very well maintained. I was still getting used to the new navigation app, which was Kakao, and it took me a bit of time to cover the first 50 kilometers officially outside Seoul as I was taking a lot of wrong routes. The road was quiet, trees and nothing but river on sides. It was just super quiet at one point. I had to readjust Spaniards multiple times during the first few days of my ride. I came across this bridge that I had to cross and get down on the other side. And when I reached at the point where I had to get down, there was this walking and cycle friendly stairs. So I had to control the bike with my weight, and it was the first time maybe that I felt how heavy my bike was. I decided to stay in Gyeonggi-do. The motel was at the start of the city and it was right at the edge of the road I needed to be on the next day. And they also allowed bike inside, which was best because I don't have to readjust panniers the next day before my ride. It started to get more challenging as I was moving ahead in my journey. I was surprised how beautiful the landscape was. I was going at my pace. I stopped wherever I wanted to. I was liking the new challenge of just riding the bike all the time. So, as soon as I wake up, I used to pack my bags, get ready, and move. I had nothing complex going on in my brain. It was just being focused on the next stop and to see and experience the country, to fully enjoy the journey, to make this memory of a lifetime.
Okay, let's climb!
I was now finally getting used to weight. The terrain was surprising, at times fully flat and at times just crazy uphill. Now, I was very novice in cycling. I had never done long distance and continuous biking like this before. So finally, when the landscape started getting more elevated, I felt it. I really did.
Goodness gracious. Oh my god. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good girls. Thanks, thanks.
My legs
Thanks.
were all swelled up, but it never felt this good. It felt surreal to be out there in an unknown country to the Korea beyond K pop and K dramas, and not the Korea that was sold to us by the media outlets. My lunch breaks were at different places every day. And every day I ate enjoying looking at different landscapes and surroundings. I was getting tired, finally, like physically tired, which I wanted. I slept so better these nights. I knew I was approaching mountains. I could see them from long distance, but I had no idea what was waiting for me. Now, this was the day I was fully pumped up. I had just completed Ara and Hangang bike path, and now I was onto the third bike path, which was Sajjai. By the time I was at day 4, I realized I could push myself easily up to like 75 to 80 kilometers in a day. And Sajjai was just 100 kilometers, so I was thinking to push myself more and complete Sajjai in one day. That was mistake number one. Basically, I was cutting mountains from one end to the other, and the elevation was no joke. And with the bike, the heaviness of it. So, day 5 was one of the most challenging days of my journey from Seoul to Busan. So, before the day began, and when I was about to exit the city and enter the mountains, the chain came off. I guess it was because of all the weird lifting that I had to do to fit the bike in elevators. Luckily for me, there was a petrol pump right at the exit of the city, and the guy there helped me in getting it fixed. And then I began the journey of never ending elevation. So, the first 30 kilometers on my day 5 was relatively flat. It took me around 30 to 35 minutes to complete.
This is where I'm supposed to go now.
But the next 5 kilometers took me 5 hours. I was tired, I was exhausted, I was inexperienced, not just in elevation riding but also in geared bikes. I remember pushing myself so hard, and I used to take rest every few meters. There were two mountain pass, Sojo Mountain Pass, which is 380 meters, and Iwa Mountain Pass, which is 539 meters, and I had to cross both of them. I was in my zone, so I was not aware of the intensity of it.
So I literally drove from that road to this road.
It's a 5 kilometer stretch, and it was the longest uphill in the past 4 days. And when I reached at the stamping booth on the mountain, I literally slept on the bench for an hour and refused to cycle any further. That's the thing I love about being solo. You have to motivate yourself. You don't rely on any external factors. And when you have got no choice and options, you always fight and thrive. Every rise sees a fall, and every fall sees a rise. And thus began the descent. Whoa! Deva! I do. Well, we have to be careful. Why it's so freaking cold over here? Oh my god. So I'm just reaching towards the countryside, and I have to find a place to stay because we are ending the day. It's already 4:37, and we are ending the day up. We were supposed to end the day a little early, but then I took a rest lunch break because I was not feeling it. Today was extremely physically hard for me. I thought I will complete the Sajai trail path today. I was that confident because I did 70 yesterday and it felt a bit okay, like it was still under my kilometers of a limit. But what I did not calculate was the climb. We are at 3.5 kilometers towards the destination. We started the downhill at 9.2. It has been good run. Adios amigos. Day 5 was overwhelming. I was not ready for the challenges. I was not mentally prepared. I was in pain. My muscles were sore. I was exhausted. I was exhausted beyond imagination. So when I reached at the motel, I realized I won't be able to cycle anymore. So I took a day off in the town called Mungyong. So I was here at the center of a small country. It was peaceful, calm, and less chaotic. I don't think I would ever have been able to see this kind of small town if I wasn't biking. You know, there are some places where only cycles can take you during your travels. And I think this was exactly that kind of place. Rest day gave me time to reflect on what I had experienced in the past 5 days. And it was a small town, and I think I must have walked the whole town for like 3 to 4 times. Majority of the people that I met were actually the older generation. I think the younger generation left the town in the exchange of the big cities to make living or to realize their dream. I just wandered on the streets of Mongyong, looking at the people and admiring their stories, and they have this beautiful eyes, and it was just surreal to be out there, and nobody was expecting an Indian person, let alone any other white or foreigner. And I was there on the land which had so much history about war and culture and everything. It was just beautiful. I was grateful to be there. I was just present at the moment. I was soaking everything that I could. So this is the first hot meal I'm having in 5 days with the view. Even the basic things in the room felt like luxury. And now it was getting colder and colder the more I was moving towards Busan. In the afternoon, I came across a stream behind my motel. It was such a beautiful setting because there were mountains, trees, and river stream. And up on the hill in front of me, there was a shrine. So everything was at one place at the same time. I spent rest of the day just sitting there and eating dinner with the view of those amazing mountains that I had just crossed a day before. If I ever go back to Korea and if I ever go back cycling around maybe, I would love to be at that place and just see all over it again. When I left Mungyong, the landscape changed drastically and it came with seclusion. As if I was the only one. All of the nature was just for me. Everywhere I looked, there were these majestic mountains, and it was so quiet and so quiet at one point. So, at one side, you see this loud, huge mountains, and the other side, you just hear nothing. There is no noise, no chaos, and it felt so meditative at one point. I was riding in middle of a forest. I was splitting the smaller hills now. It was surprising. At times it was flat and at times just pure elevation.
Let's do this. Let's do this, Zahid. Oh my god. There is a space below this mountain.
And these two gorgeous airplanes, painted in bright color, parked in middle of nowhere in the green bushes. And few meters north to me was a military camp. I was genuinely scared if I was doing something illegal by flying my drone. I was feeling little better given that now I had taken one break day. It was really hard to push myself to ride further after the notorious Sajjai path. So having taken a break actually helped a lot in gathering the energy again. And I resumed my journey towards Busan. It was just amazing. Beautiful green blankets around and white flowers occasionally on the way. When you're riding solo, the motivation has to come from within. It gets lonely at times, but after a few days, I started to ease out from within and also enjoying the thrill of what's next. I used to go in Google Maps and see my location every now and then just to admire how far I have come. Where am I going to stay? What part will I end up now of this small country?